The Advanced Nutrition Plan. Who is this meant for? This is typically a 3 to 6 month plan. This is for somebody who's on a bunch of medications they're trying to get off of. If they're trying to lose, if they're on an excessive, or they want to accelerate weight loss, they're on this. It also gets your hormones back in check. What it's going to do is we're going to drop down inflammation. We're going to do that by eliminating your sugar, cutting out grains, removing your bad fats, eating little fruit, and avoiding toxins. And I'll break down all these individually. And if you want this PowerPoint emailed to you, just give them your address, email address. We'll send it off in a day or so. So eliminating sugars. It's not so much added sugar. I'm not worried about all sugar you're putting in your coffee. Okay, that's not what I mean by sugar. Where do we find hidden sugar at?
Processed foods.
Processed foods, or carbohydrates. Right.
Breads, pasta.
We think about, I'll let you know what food we talk about. We think about type 2 diabetes, which is, it's flying through the roof. Like endocrinologists, it's got to be one of the best fields to be in because you have so many patients right now. They don't know what to do with them all. Type 2 diabetes is pretty much carbohydrate toxicity. It's pretty much all it is, just carbohydrates. You just become toxic from carbs. Your body cannot digest all the carbohydrates that they're given. So your sugars, we find them in processed foods. We find them in salad dressings. They are in bread and rice and pasta. There are artificial sweeteners that are in there, regular sugar that's in there. The rule of thumb for sugar, anything that ends in OSE. So when you're reading your labels, anything that ends in OSE, that's how we know it's a sugar. So you think of fructose, glucose, dextrose. That's your buzzword. When you're reading your label, look for anything that ends in OSE. If it doesn't say sugar, look at the back, look at the label, and you'll see it, such as here, stevia in the raw. Stevia is a good natural sweetener, right? Okay. First ingredient, dextrose. You have to be careful with what, you have to read labels. Because you see this, and we pretty much know stevia is going to be a good sweetener for us, and we read it, or we don't read it, we take it. Like, well, why am I getting all these headaches? Why is this, what's happening? Because we know artificial sweeteners or sugars, they're neurotoxic. They affect, if you have issues with headaches, they can cause headaches big time. So this is one thing you want to stay away from. That does not pass the test. Whereas something like a sweet leaf sweetener is just a stevia leaf extract on the back of it. This passes the test. So you have to read your labels. It is stevia, like how innocent is this? It's fine. It's in the raw. I got you. They actually got me on this for a month before I caught it. I didn't read it. I looked like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So that's these two. Okay, cutting out grains. So if you're going the advanced plan, you're going this route, this is not easy. I'm not here to, this is the harder of the two plans. You're cutting out grains because we want to get all the inflammatory processes out of your body. So your grains are out completely. Removing your bad fats. So on your sheets, on your handouts, your basic living, maximize living basic nutrition guide that's on here. When we look into oils and other fats, I love this. This is one of my favorite handouts to give out. So it goes from kind of the terrible option to the best option, and that mine's all there for you. When you're reading your labels, your bad fat, something like a canola oil, is a terrible fat for you. The best way to go with oil is something like a coconut oil, because it holds up with heat. A grass-fed ghee is very good for you. Regular butter is very good for you. Yeah, I can't believe it's not butter. The margarines, all the tub stuff, it's toxic. It's very, very bad for you. So all those things that come in, those butters that are in the tubs, typically one of the first ingredients on it is going to be a canola oil or a bad type oil. And it's also in plastics. We know it's going to, those butters and margarines have a chemical called dioxin in them, which is a plastic, which is a carcinogen. So we want to stay away from those. Butter is fine for you, and real butter is fine. So those are that's what I'm talking about when I'm speaking of removing your bad fat. So when you're reading your labels looking for that type of oil, other forms of bad fat, what else do we have out there? Start throwing some things at me.
Bad fat?
Bad fat. What's an unhealthy fat?
Shortening.
Shortening. So all your baked goods, right?
Yeah.
Crisco, all of those. So when you're cooking with flour, you're going to the color coatings. You're going to replace wheat, or you're going to color code flour, take out white completely. If you're going with the core plan, which is the other meal plan we'll touch on here in a minute, the core plan you can still have your carbohydrate. You're just going to have everything with your wheat. You can have everything that goes from white to brown. The ultimate goal with flour is you want to have like an almond or a coconut flour. You want to cook with those. Much more expensive, much healthier for you. And when it comes to the economics of this, as like somebody had said earlier, is that it's expensive to eat this way. It is. If you're able to, what's a nursing home per month cost on average? Does anybody know?
Thousands.
9,000.
Several
6,000 for some.
So, yeah. So what happens, especially in the state of PA and most states, is that you have to write your house over to them eventually. You now become kind of a ward of the state, if you will. My wife's grandmother's been going through it now. It's about anywhere from 10 to 13,000 a month, depending. So add that up. Okay. Once Medicare is up, it's $130,000 a year. If you say you change your lifestyle and you're able to stay out of that model, stay out of the home for 3 to 5 years, that's $500,000 you save. So the money, when it talks about your nutrition, you talk about spending money in economics, the money's already spent. You either spend it now in prevention, or you spend it 10 years from now from the high blood pressure medications that are not covered, from your insulin, from your statin drug, and from all the testing. So when it comes to your nutrition, it's already spent. Okay. Heart disease, cancer, are those cheap conditions to treat? Not at all. Not at all. They're very, very expensive. A lot of cancer treatments, a lot of times they aren't covered because they're early on in the research stages. They are not covered initially. So my mom's best friend just had brain cancer. She passed away from it. She had one round that was covered. The second round wasn't covered. It's $25,000 out of pocket for and that was just to go through the special drug that they wanted to try her on. It adds up. The money's gone. How you spend it's up to you. So, going into fruit. Fruit, good or bad?
It depends.
Depends. That's a good answer. It depends. If it's between eating fruit or going to McDonald's, pick whatever fruit you want to eat and eat it.
Yeah.
Okay? But we're kind of trying to make some better decisions here. So the fruit that passes in anything in the berry family, your raspberries, blueberries, anything in the berry family, high in antioxidants. Anything you bite into, like a pineapple, watermelon, honeydew, and it has that kind of sugar explosion in your mouth, those are very terrible on the glycemic index. They're high in the glycemic index, bad for your digestion. So you want to eliminate those completely. So your fruit you can have, or anything in the berry family, Granny Smith apples and grapefruit. Okay? Those are your fruit options. And then toxins we touch on as well. Eliminating as many toxins as possible. Where can you eliminate toxins from? One of them is monosodium glutamate, MSG. That's a neurotoxin. You're going to find MSG is typically known to be in soy sauce, but it's also in a ton of other, if you buy foods or the packets, like that has like 4 packets inside the seasoning. There's typically MSG in that. There's MSG in most often dressings are in there. Hydrolyzed is another buzzword we want to talk about, and hydrogenated as well. Those are buzzwords you want to stay away from. Next thing, artificial sweeteners. That is one of the toxins you want to stay away from. How do you know if something has an artificial sweetener in it? What are buzzwords for artificial sweeteners?
Sugar-free.
Yep. Diet or sugar-free. Those are your buzzwords. If you're drinking diet soda, stop, please. Drink the regular stuff. They're both terrible for you. I'd rather you have real sugar than the bad sugar.
I've always said that.
Yeah, drink the regular stuff. We know neither one are good ideas. We know that. But if you're gonna drink one of the two, the diet stuff, it tricks your brain. You can actually, the research coming out on that now is it cause you become more hungry and more thirsty. So diet or sugar-free. The state of California is now mandating legislation. They're gonna have to name aspartame on the carcinogen list. It's been proven that it's now becoming a cancer-causing agent. If you get headaches, get rid of all of your diet and sugar-free stuff.